If you can't control your emotions, people will control you. Most people believe that power comes from speaking more, expressing everything they feel, or making their emotions visible to everyone around them. But some of the most influential, respected, and psychologically strong individuals operate in a completely different way. They understand something that most people never realize. Emotions reveal information, and information creates vulnerability. The question is, why do powerful people often keep their emotions private, even during moments of pressure, conflict, success, or disappointment? And what do they understand about human psychology that others don't? Welcome to a space dedicated to understanding the human mind and modern emotions, helping people better understand anxiety, relationships, and their inner thoughts. In today's video, you will discover the hidden psychological mechanisms behind emotional privacy, why emotionally disciplined individuals are often perceived as stronger, more respected, and more influential, and how excessive emotional exposure can quietly affect the way others see, judge, and interact with you. More importantly, you'll learn how emotional restraint differs from emotional suppression, and why confusing the two can create serious problems in relationships, personal growth, and social dynamics. If you stay until the end, you'll understand the psychological patterns that lead powerful people to protect their emotional world, how emotional self-control influences perception, trust, attraction, leadership, and respect, and why many people unknowingly give away their psychological power through impulsive emotional reactions. Because the real issue is not what you feel, it's what your mind does with what you feel. And most people never notice this process happening. What you are about to learn may completely change the way you view emotions, influence, and human behavior. Have you ever noticed how some people seem completely unshaken, even when life hits them with bad news, criticism, disappointment, or unexpected pressure? Meanwhile, most people feel an almost irresistible urge to explain themselves, react immediately, or show exactly what they're feeling. And without realizing it, that reaction often costs them more than they think. Maybe you've experienced it yourself. You share your frustration with someone, reveal how hurt you are, or show how much a situation affected you, expecting understanding. But instead, people start treating you differently. Sometimes they respect you less. Sometimes they use that information against you. Sometimes they simply see you as less confident than you actually are. What makes this painful is that most people don't even realize it's happening. They think power comes from expressing every emotion openly. But in reality, the human mind constantly reads emotional signals, often more than words themselves. Every reaction sends a message. Every emotional display communicates something about your internal state. And while emotions are completely natural, the way we handle them shapes how others perceive us every single day. The strange part is that powerful people feel the same emotions everyone else feels. They get angry, they get hurt, they get anxious. The difference isn't what they feel, it's what they choose to reveal. And understanding why that small difference changes everything begins with something most people overlook in their daily interactions. What most people don't realize is that emotional privacy isn't really about hiding feelings from others. It's about controlling the information your emotions automatically broadcast. The human brain is constantly scanning social situations, trying to answer one question: who has control here? This process happens so fast that we rarely notice it. When someone reacts impulsively, becomes visibly frustrated, or immediately reveals how deeply a comment affected them, people around them unconsciously gather information. They begin adjusting their behavior based on those emotional signals. Not because they are bad people, but because this is how social perception works. The brain naturally pays attention to emotional reactions because reactions reveal what matters to us, what threatens us, and where we are vulnerable. This creates a pattern that most people never see. The more emotionally predictable you become, the easier it is for others to anticipate your responses. Think about everyday situations: a disagreement at work, a critical comment from a friend, passive-aggressive message. Many people react instantly because their brain wants relief from the discomfort. But the moment they do, they often give away more than they intended. Meanwhile, people who appear powerful are not necessarily smarter or stronger. They simply create space between feeling and reacting. That pause changes everything. It prevents others from reading their emotional map too easily. And once you understand what happens inside that brief moment of self-control, you start to see why some people naturally command respect without ever demanding it. And this is where the effects become visible in everyday life, even though most people never connect them to emotional exposure. Over time, the way you manage your emotions starts shaping how others respond to you. Not because people consciously analyze every reaction, but because the brain constantly forms impressions based on patterns. If someone always reacts immediately when criticized, people learn that criticism controls their attention. If someone becomes visibly upset every time they feel ignored, others learn exactly where their emotional triggers are. Little by little, a social image is created. The surprising part is that this process happens silently. Most people think respect is built only through confidence, status, or communication skills. But emotional consistency plays a much bigger role than many realize. This is why some people walk into a room and naturally command attention without saying much, while others feel overlooked even when they speak more. It's not always about personality. It's often about emotional signaling. When people sense that your mood can be easily influenced by approval, rejection, praise, or criticism, they unconsciously adjust the value they place on your presence. In relationships, this can create frustration because you may feel misunderstood without knowing why. In friendships, it can affect trust. In professional environments, it can influence leadership and credibility. The reality is that every emotional reaction teaches people something about you. The question is whether that lesson increases your influence or quietly gives it away. And there's one specific habit that separates those who maintain psychological control from those who unintentionally surrender it. The deeper reason behind this behavior has very little to do with the emotions you're feeling right now. In fact, your brain rarely responds to the present moment alone. It responds to what the present moment reminds it of. This is why two people can experience the exact same situation and react in completely different ways. One person receives criticism and moves on. Another thinks about it for days. One person handles rejection with calm. Another feels deeply shaken. The difference is often hidden beneath the surface. Emotional memory stores patterns from past experiences, and those patterns continue influencing behavior long after the original event has ended. Most of the time, people aren't reacting to what is happening. They're reacting to what their brain believes might happen again. Think about someone who grew up feeling ignored, misunderstood, or constantly judged. As an adult, they may become highly sensitive to signs of disapproval, even when none was intended. Someone who experienced betrayal may become overly cautious about trust. Someone who spent years seeking validation may feel an almost automatic urge to explain themselves, defend their choices, or prove their worth. These reactions often feel logical in the moment because the brain is trying to protect itself using old emotional maps. The problem is that those maps were created for situations that may no longer exist. Yet the mind keeps running the same program. This is why emotional privacy feels difficult for many people. They're not just managing today's emotions, they're managing years of emotional conditioning operating in the background. And once you recognize how these invisible patterns shape your reactions, a completely different way of handling emotions starts to become possible. The moment you start noticing these patterns instead of automatically following them, something subtle begins to change. Not because you suddenly become emotionless, and not because you discover some secret technique that makes every situation easier. The change happens because awareness creates distance. For the first time, you begin to see that not every emotion requires an immediate reaction, not every feeling needs to be explained, and not every uncomfortable moment demands a response. Most people spend years believing they are reacting to reality when, in many cases, they are reacting to interpretations, expectations, and emotional habits that have been running in the background for a long time. Once you recognize that, the situation itself starts to look different. You begin to understand that powerful people are not necessarily hiding their emotions because they are cold, detached, or naturally stronger than everyone else. Often, they simply understand that emotions carry information, and information has value. They allow themselves to feel deeply without feeling obligated to reveal everything immediately. That shift alone changes the way they move through conversations, relationships, conflicts, and social situations. Instead of constantly proving how they feel, they become more selective about what deserves their emotional energy. And something interesting happens when that mindset develops. The need for external validation starts losing its grip. The fear of how others perceive you becomes quieter. Reactions become choices rather than impulses. Not overnight and not perfectly, but gradually. Because real emotional strength is rarely about controlling what you feel. It begins when you understand what your feelings are trying to do, and decide consciously whether they deserve control over your next move. Maybe the most surprising thing about emotional strength is that it often goes unnoticed. We tend to imagine power as something visible, a strong voice, confident presence, the perfect response at the perfect moment. But some of the most important battles in human behavior happen where nobody else can see them, in the space between feeling something and acting on it. In the quiet moments when the mind wants to react, explain, defend, or seek reassurance. Every person carries emotions. Every person experiences fear, frustration, disappointment, and uncertainty. The difference is not who feels these things and who doesn't. The difference is how those emotions slowly shape the story a person tells themselves about who they are and how they move through the world. What makes this fascinating is that most social dynamics are invisible. People rarely remember every word you said. They rarely know what was happening inside your mind. Yet they constantly respond to the emotional signals you leave behind. And over time, those signals become part of your presence, your relationships, and even the opportunities that find their way into your life. Perhaps that's why the people who appear the most composed are not always the people with fewer emotions. Sometimes they are simply the people who have spent years understanding them. And if there's one thing worth thinking about after this conversation, it's that somewhere today, someone will react automatically to a feeling, while someone else will quietly observe the same feeling and experience a completely different outcome. Both will believe they acted naturally, but only one will realize how much of human behavior happens beneath the surface. Before you go, if this video made you see human behavior from a different perspective, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. It helps more people discover content that explores the psychology behind everyday thoughts, emotions, and social dynamics. I'd also love to hear from you. If you watched all the way to the end, leave the comment, "I see the pattern now." It will let me know you stayed until the final moment of this journey. And don't stop here. Click on the video showing on your screen right now and explore the playlist linked in the card. The next video goes even deeper into the hidden psychological patterns that shape the way people think, feel, and behave every day. See you in the next video.